A writer travels to Vienna to visit a friend who turns out to be dead, and stays to find out about the shady dealings he was involved in the 1949 spy drama, The Third Man. And that's the film we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
Passports, please.
Oh,
What's the purpose of your visit here?
a friend of mine offered me a job here.
Where are you staying?
With him, 15 Stiftgasse.
His name?
Lime, Harry Lime.
Okay.
Thought he'd be here to meet me.
And, okay, so the tone of this movie really had me, man. I tell you, I really didn't know quite what to make of it, but just to give you guys a sense of, like, a little bit of the behind the scenes, at least this is for me on my end of Movie Bones. It's like, Ryan and I don't record this in the same space, and we don't watch the movies actually together. We watch them separately. But I watch the movies with my wife, as I do every week, pretty much. And as we're watching this movie, and it's not, and one of the things that happens is oftentimes during the movie, we'll stop the movie, pause it to talk about something that's on our mind, and maybe I'll even take some notes during that chance too. But so, like 2/3 of the way we're watching the Third Man, and about 2/3 of the way through, I reach for the pause button and to say, I got a thought I have to, because I got a thought I want to share. And my wife just says, no. She just said no. She stopped me, froze me. It's like, and it wasn't because we were so into it that she had to find out what was next. It's not one of those situations, folks. This is one of the movies where it's like, no, I don't want you to stop it because it's going to put off the end of the movie. And so if that's not spoiling my verdict too much, man, that's kind of just sums up my experience. How about you? What did you feel during your watching of this?
Okay, so I started watching this movie, and I am a fan of mystery movies. If it's noir, that's great. We've talked about that extensively, but it's just mystery movies, no matter what, I'm a fan of. And there are two... I can't blame the movie necessarily for this, but there are two big issues I have with this particular movie that threw me off of this particular movie so hard that I was like, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to go ahead and give y'all my verdict right now. I can never watch this movie again because I can't take this movie seriously. It's not possible for me to take it seriously. The first reason is this. That music that you played at the beginning of the movie.
I had that in my notes. Yes, the music,
That's SpongeBob SquarePants music.
I didn't think of that, but you're so true. That's so crazy, man. You're right. I didn't think of SpongeBob, but I should have. But good grief, it's like, and it's like it goes to what we were talking about in Metropolis. It's like it's tonally not right for the stuff that's going on. Even in the clip I just shared with you guys, it's like, and it's just kind of like, I thought this was supposed to be like a thriller,
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be, but like, that music just kept, because it played, and it played nonstop, but it played throughout the whole entire movie, and I'm sitting there going, why does this seem so familiar? And it finally dawned on me. I was like, oh, wait, I grew up watching SpongeBob SquarePants, and this is literally a riff, or not a riff, but it's literally,
3 hours later.
Yeah, there's music that you would hear in that because it's got that tropical feel to it.
It does.
This movie doesn't take place anywhere near the tropics.
It might as well take place in Bikini Bottom,
Yeah. It's just, and I was like, when I realized that, I was like, I just can't anymore with this movie. And yeah, there was a point where I was like, all right, it needs to go ahead and end.
I'm trying to find something that, to latch on to anything. And I guess you could say that plot is fairly straightforward in a way. It does have a plot. Things happen and other things will happen after it. But for me, it's like what makes it fall completely apart is the characters. I don't understand what's kind of going on in their head at all. And that's not just because it's a mystery. You're not supposed to know that. No, I have to know something. It's like, I don't expect in the beginning to know, but at least by a certain point in the film, you should start to understand their motivations. But I don't know why the girl that he finds, the writer dude, he finds traces and traces his friend to this girl, and they were apparently had a thing for each other. Why they liked each other, why she defends the man, especially when we find out the guy that he thinks is dead has been told is dead and, is actually alive. It's Harry Lime, played by, Orson Welles, that he's alive. He's a malevolent guy. He's like, well, why did she like him? I don't know. We never find out either. And when he turns out she doesn't, at the end, when it's turned out that, the writer dude collaborates with the cops to hunt down Harry, and it's like, and she's mad at him. I still don't understand why anyone likes or does anything. That's kind of what it's like, and why should I care except for this stupid music drilling in my ears right now is telling me to hate it.
I see exactly what you're saying, and you're right. I don't think there was times why do we feel the way we do? I mean, heck, she loves this guy. She's mad when they get rid of him, officially get rid of him. And I'm like, well, I was like, he faked his death.
Yeah, that doesn't bug you at all?
Yeah, it's like, he, let's be real. Some part of him was trying to get away from you. You would think that maybe, just maybe, it would be such a situation in which he would at least, give her a heads up. But she has no clue the whole entire film. And I was kind of waiting on something like that. I was waiting on some kind of twist where she had an idea or where she knew something more than she did. But nothing like that really ever came up for me.
Came out. It never was revealed. And it's like, there's no real, actually, like I said, it's a straightforward plot, but it's not deep. It doesn't try to dig deep into anything. And it's like, and that's a real problem because it's like when you don't even bother with your character, digging into your characters or a theme or anything really, unless the theme is like one of those really art house things. It's like, it's deep because it is. You give me something, man. And it's like, it's not cliche to actually try and make an effort to add some depth of character here. You need that on some level.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I thought that the characters themselves were as base. I was like, this is interesting. You've got this Pulp Fiction writer who has enough understanding of how mysteries work that he could, he's helping out with this whole entire ordeal. You've got the spurned sort of lover. And then you also got this kind of a dynamic where they were getting closer as the film's going on. And then this looming question is at his death, there was a third man there. I need to talk about that whole entire thing.
No, go
OMG.
for it.
Okay, this is the one thing I can't blame the movie for because of the time. Folks out there, if you don't know, movies used to show their credits before the film until a certain man came along named George Lucas decided, what if we put the credits at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
And from now on, that's why we have credits at the end of the movie and everything. So, a movie like this, you know what you don't need to have? You don't need to have one of your actors build the whole entire time because you're sitting there going, well, he's got to be in the movie. He has to be in the movie. He has to be in the movie.
It does. They do hold off on him. They really hold off on Orson Welles, don't they?
The twist in this movie was that the guy was still alive. You want to know when I figured out the twist that this guy was still alive?
5 minutes in,
5 minutes in, when I figured out that he was playing that character.
Yep. And I was there too.
Yeah.
I was there too.
I was like, okay, so he's clearly still alive. We just don't know how he's still alive. I mean, the only way you get around this is if you do some flashback stuff, but this movie never did flashbacks. It never even set up flashbacks. It never even hinted at flashbacks. No, he's playing Harry Lime. Harry Lime is dead at the beginning of the movie. You find that out really quick that Harry Lime is dead. You also know that Orson Welles is playing Harry Lime, so you're sitting there going, so when is Harry Lime going to show back up? Because Harry Lime's clearly not dead. And lo and behold, when he kind of, shows up in the shadows, which I thought was a really good shot. I want to make that very clear. I thought the shot with him showing up was really good, but I'm like, oh, look, the guy that's not dead the whole entire time is not dead after all. Because, I mean, again, and it's because all of the actors are put at the front of the movie.
Yeah.
If you made this movie today, what you do, especially if you're making it just new, what you do is you don't advertise the fact that your big name stars in this movie. You don't put them on the poster, or at least on the first movie poster. You don't do things give your actors at the beginning of the movie. No, you save it for the very end because you can make that a big surprise. This movie exist on its twist that Harry Lime is still alive. And when you know that Orson Welles, A, is in the movie, and B, hasn't shown up yet, you're sitting there going, well, Orson Welles is clearly Harry Lime, and Harry Lime is clearly not dead.
You know, it's like if we hadn't already known this like 5 years ago, it might have been a nice touch, a nice little bit of, a little bit of foretaste of the reveal. But that's all in the background in my mind now, because you made me wait for this. And then after that, there's not much actually that, I mean, his character, Harry Lime his character is one of the most interesting parts of the film, I guess.
In Italy, for 30 years under the Borgias, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed, but they produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. In Switzerland, they had brotherly love. They had 500 years of democracy and peace, and what did that produce? The cuckoo clock. So long, Holly.
You know, there's a little bit of like, villain kind of psychology going on in there. And, if you want to call it that or philosophy, you're laughing. It's like,
I can't help it. There's a super serious scene. They're talking about something serious. And in the background, you have SpongeBob music. I'm sorry. I'm imagining this scene taking place in the Krusty Krab, and just like right off of camera, you see SpongeBob just flipping burgers.
Oh, like, SpongeBob!
Yeah, this is SpongeBob music, and I know that this movie obviously came out way before SpongeBob, and this is what I was saying. This is my whole entire thing. This is what I was talking to Justin about a couple days ago when I said I cannot take this movie seriously, and it's because of the future. Our future, where we're at now. I wonder if in the past, maybe this movie was taken a little bit more seriously, but it's just like you put up a scene for us. You took your time and effort to go find a scene, and the scene doesn't do you justice, doesn't do your work justice, because it's like, this is a serious scene. I'm trying to talk about something slightly serious movie, and SpongeBob music's playing in the background.
It does make it awfully difficult, doesn't it? I mean, this is in a way that's kind of worse than what Metropolis did. In Metropolis, that was just like someone many years later, probably decades later, popped in a repeating loop.
We can forgive that one.
We can forgive that one, but this is worse in a way because this was actually intended by the original people who made it,
And I was wondering, as I was watching the film, I was like, is this supposed to be kind of a comedy? Because it's such upbeat music.
I know. It feels like it's trying to do something deliberately to undercut its, the more serious stuff. And even some of the dialogue, like in the dialogue between, I can't think of his name, the main guy, the writer guy, and the claims and customs man he's talking to, it felt very much almost like it could have appeared in like an Abbott and Costello sketch. And for all the seriousness, the actors were kind of slightly amping up their reactions a bit, just to be a little bit more over the top. Not like hugely, but it's noticeable. And I noticed that in a few other places too, if not in like some of the American, I know the British officer there, I guess he keeps interacting with, that it seems like he's more serious, but even some of the ways they talk, and they just kind of abruptly come to an end of a decision or a conclusion, and it feels a bit like almost like the abruptness itself feels cartoonish. There's an abrupt thing being done, and it just feels like, oh, that's odd. It just feels odd in places. It's just this slightly off. So you think it must be deliberate, right? Because there's so much else, like with the music and everything else. Is it deliberate? And if it is, what kind of tone is it? What does the tone mean? I mean, I don't get like sarcasm or kind of like an undercurrent of like we're undercutting spy films or we're trying to make some bigger statement on. I don't know. And yet this film has like over 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't get this.
I'm reading the Wikipedia article, and apparently people thought that the music was perfectly on point.
Well, yeah, they didn't have SpongeBob to compare it to, but then again, I didn't think of that right away. That was you, and when you put it in my head, I'm like, oh yes, of course. But still, I don't think it was ever. You could never take that seriously. I don't care if there was SpongeBob or not. I mean, it can't be.
Yeah, it's wild.
Oh man. Oh,
This really won best cinematography. And, I'd give the cinematography that. It was nominated for Best Director and Best Film Editing at the Academy. British Academy, it was Best Film, Best British Film, Palme d'Or, I don't know what that is, and outstanding Palme d'Or, and Outstanding Director, and won the Best British Film and the Palme d'Or. And it's a top 10 foreign film.
I'm looking at this thing. It's like, you said cinematography is good. I'd be more like, it's pretty good. It's decent, at least. In other places, it felt a little bit overlit. In other times, the lighting felt a little inconsistent. It feels like it's supposed to be a noir. And there are some scenes, like you said, that one where he's got the cat sitting on his shoes, or the light reveals his face, Orson Welles' face for the first time. It's like, okay, that works. That's good. I think it was decent overall, and there were some moments that rose above decent. But I don't know if I would give it like an award. I've seen like the lighting and stuff going on in what we just saw with what was it? The Kafka's The Trial. There's a lot more work going on there.
I'm almost to a point where I feel like we've been duped.
Oh yeah, I feel like that too.
This is wild because, like, I am reading. It's considered one of the greatest films of all time, celebrated for its acting, its musical score, and its atmospheric cinematography. Like, maybe we've entered into a world in which the movie that we watched was not.
Did we find the wrong copy of it? But I did try to do a little bit of research on this myself. I did try to see what do people say about this movie that makes it so good. And the best I could find is like some approximation of it's dark. It deals in, oh no, sorry, it's not dark. It's shades of gray. It's about the shades of gray. It's like, well, I've seen lots of movies from that era that had shades of gray like that. We've seen noir films, and we both talked about noir films that have had those shades of gray and done a much more clear job of having a final product that you can hold up and say, yes, this is a solid entry, into that.
There's vindication right now because I'm Googling some stuff while we're talking, and I Googled the third man music is SpongeBob music, and I found a Reddit page, and the person said this is for Criterion. I don't know what that is about, but it's the page Criterion, and this is from 3 years ago. Does anyone else think that the music that plays over the opening credits of The Third Man sounds like SpongeBob music? Like, you could put this in an episode of SpongeBob and not be able to tell the difference, or am I insane?
No.
And some of the one of the comments just found this post on Google because I swore SpongeBob had used this theme at one point.
Oh man. And SpongeBob actually has some, I think they've actually used some more clever references at times. I haven't seen SpongeBob as much as you have. I think I didn't grow up with it. We're slightly different generation that way, but I could almost see SpongeBob being clever enough to incorporate something as sly as a reference to it, because it's a well-known film. Why we don't understand why it's so great by the people, so greatly remembered, but it is remembered, and that's all it takes for something to be culturally appropriated and reused in animated films or whatever, or animated shows.
And that's where I come back to my kind of what my original gripe with this movie is. And it's not even, again, I don't really blame the movie. I wonder if we're sitting in the time period that this movie is in, if these things don't matter as much to us. You know what I mean?
Maybe you just had to be in 1940s Vienna to understand it. I don't know. What about verdicts, man? What do you think? Are we going to land on this thing?
Bad dates.
Bad dates.
And that is a bad dates leaning towards don't look at it. Like, if you're like an Orson Welles kick, he's always... Like, I've not seen him in anything that I'm looking at him going, I don't like Orson Welles in this movie. If you want to test the waters and see if maybe we're wrong, and, this is one of the greatest films of all time, Bad Dates. If I didn't say Bad Dates, I'd be saying don't look at it. Just everything with this movie, it's just too off-putting for me. I cannot get into this movie physically. So Bad Dates to don't look at it.
I struggled just writing this episode, trying to come up with enough things to say about it other than just what we've been saying, trying to stretch that out, because after a while, there's just these very few number of basic criticisms that strike right at the heart of the story. And after that, it's like, because the film doesn't give you anything else to really chew on, there's only so much you can say. So yeah, this is don't look at it for me. I honestly can't say that apart from the Orson Welles bits that there was anything really that I appreciated at all about the film. And of course, there's that music's going to live in my head forever. Thank you very much, film. It was a mess, and I don't feel like it was a particularly enjoyable one either. So, in any case, that was The Third Man. So now's the time when we'd like to remind the listening audience out there that if you're watching these movies alongside of us, and you should be, and hearing our reactions, please do like, subscribe, comment, and of course, follow us on your podcast purveyor of choice. Tell us if you think we got it wrong. We want to hear from you. Explain to us why this movie is so great, okay? Please do. We're really desperate for that, okay? In any case, Ryan and I thank you for sticking with us on this shared journey. And on this journey, we have another film, and I know I've seen this film. Have you seen this film, Ryan? Have you seen this one?
I've never seen this film.
Okay, so this is good. I get to share something new with you. This one is bound to be better than this week's. It's North by Northwest.
My experience with North by Northwest is a Family Guy episode.
They reference everything, don't they?
Especially older movies like this, absolutely. So,
hey, that's another way to get people interested in old stuff. Then okay, that's at least something positive there too. So yeah, but Tubi says, you want to give what the Tubi says?
Tubi says a lethal case of mistaken identity plunges a New York ad man into a race across the continent as he's pursued by foreign spies out to kill him.
I can't think of anything else to say. How about you, man? You got any additions to this mess?
Nope.
Well, that's about it, folks. So we'll see you next week, and Ryan and I'll see you next week, okay?
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye, folks.